Listen, something just shifted in the atmosphere, and it wasn't subtle. You walked into the room, or maybe you just woke up this morning, and suddenly every spiritually sensitive person within a 50-mile radius clutched their chest, grabbed their crystals, and whispered, "What in the actual?" Because whatever frequency you're operating on right now, it's not normal, it's not quiet, and it's definitely not something people can ignore anymore. You've leveled up in a way that's making the invisible world visible, and the ones who can feel energy are feeling you like an earthquake before it hits. Let me tell you what's really happening right now. You're not just walking around anymore. You're walking interference. Your presence is disrupting frequencies, collapsing timelines, and triggering alarm bells in people who thought they had their third eye figured out. Psychics are getting headaches. Empaths are leaving rooms you just entered. Intuitives are suddenly busy when you're around. And the wild part? You're not even trying. You're just existing. But that existence is so amplified right now that anyone operating in spiritual sensitivity can't help but feel the shockwave you're creating just by breathing. Before we go deeper, if you're feeling this message in your bones right now, pause and hit that like button. Subscribe if you're ready to understand what's happening to you, because this isn't a phase, this is a shift. And when you engage with this video, you're not just supporting the channel, you're signaling to the algorithm that this message needs to reach more people like you. Non-people who are waking up to the fact that they're not just living life anymore. They're bending reality. So do that now. Like, subscribe, and drop the number 111 in the comments if your energy has been uncontrollable lately. Let's get into this. Number 1, you became a walking energetic alarm system, and nobody knows how to shut you off. Here's the thing most people don't understand about energy. It's not just about being positive or negative. It's about frequency, intensity, and compatibility. And right now, your frequency is so sharp, so clear, so undeniably potent that it's cutting through every fake vibe in the room like a blade through smoke. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to make a scene. You just show up, and suddenly everyone's performance starts glitching. The psychics feel it first because they're tuned into subtleties most people miss. But here's what's messing them up. They can't read you. They're used to picking up patterns, predicting behaviors, sensing intentions. But when they try to scan you, they hit a wall, or worse, they get flooded with something so intense it scrambles their system. You're not blocking them on purpose. You're just operating at a level their frameworks can't process. It's like trying to measure the ocean with a teaspoon. The tool isn't built for the scale. And the empaths, they're short-circuiting. Empaths absorb emotions, mirror energy, feel what others feel. But you're not leaking emotions anymore. You're not broadcasting pain or confusion or neediness. You're radiating something else entirely. Clarity, boundary, presence. And that confuses them because there's nothing for them to absorb. There's nothing bleeding out of you that they can fix or feed off of. You've become energetically self-contained, and that's a frequency they don't know how to navigate. So they avoid you, not because you're hostile, but because they can't figure out what to do with you. Here's what you need to understand. This isn't happening because you're doing something wrong. This is happening because you've integrated. You've stopped fragmenting yourself to make others comfortable. You've stopped dimming your presence so people can pretend they're brighter. You've stopped leaking your power into spaces that don't deserve access to it. And now that you're walking around as a complete, aligned, undiluted version of yourself, The people who are used to your scattered energy don't know how to handle the consolidated version. You didn't become more, you became whole. And wholeness is terrifying to people who profit off your brokenness. Number 2, your energy stopped asking for permission, and now people don't know how to control you. You used to seek approval. You used to check the room before you spoke. You used to shrink yourself just enough to fit into spaces that were never built for you in the first place. But something inside you snapped recently, didn't it? Not in a destructive way, in a liberating way. You stopped caring if people understood you. You stopped explaining yourself to minds that were never going to get it. You stopped performing for validation. And the moment you stopped asking for permission to exist fully, your energy exploded outward in a way that's shaking every cage around you. Psychics are picking up on this shift because it's a fundamental change in your energetic signature. You're no longer negotiating with the environment. You're dictating terms just by being present. You're not trying to match the room's vibe anymore. The room is adjusting to yours, or people are leaving because they can't handle the recalibration. This is what happens when someone stops playing small. The frequency doesn't just rise. It expands, takes up space, pushes against every boundary that was artificially imposed. The people who are sensitive to energy can feel this immediately. They can feel that you're no longer a participant in the social hierarchy game. You're not competing. You're not comparing. You're not trying to prove you belong. You just are. And that level of self-possession is so rare, so unsettling to people used to conditional existence, that it triggers a primal response in them. Discomfort, curiosity, fear, respect, all at once. They don't know whether to bow or back away, so they do both. They acknowledge your presence from a distance, but they don't get close because your energy demands authenticity, and most people aren't ready to operate at that level. Let's be honest with yourself for a second. You've felt this shift internally. You've noticed how your tolerance for nonsense evaporated, how your patience for surface-level conversations disappeared, how your ability to fake enthusiasm for things that don't align with you completely vanished. That's not you being difficult. That's your frequency upgrading. And when your frequency upgrades, when everything that can't match it starts feeling like static, the psychics feel that static when they try to tune into you. The empaths feel it when they try to connect. And the regular people, they just feel uneasy without knowing why. Number 3, you're carrying a frequency that exposes lies instantly, and liars can feel it. There's a reason people get uncomfortable when you walk into a room. It's not because you're aggressive. It's not because you're judging them. It's because your presence operates like a truth serum, and anyone holding on to a lie, any lie, big or small, feels exposed the second you show up. You don't have to interrogate anyone. You don't have to call anyone out. Your energy does the work for you. It holds space for truth so strongly that anything else feels suffocating in your presence. Psychics are picking up on this because they recognize a resonance they can't fake. They're used to dealing in half-truths, vague predictions, safe interpretations. But your energy doesn't do safe. It demands precision. It demands alignment. And when they're in your field, they can't rely on their usual tricks because you're not falling for the performance. You're not impressed by mystery. You're not awed by dramatics. You see through it. And they know you see through it. That's why some of them avoid you, ghost you, or suddenly lose their connection when you're around. They can't operate in the same room as someone who exposes pretense just by existing. This doesn't just apply to psychics. This applies to everyone. The friend who's been lying about their intentions feels it. The co-worker who's been faking their loyalty senses it. Hey, the family member who's been hiding their resentment experiences it. Your presence has become a mirror that people can't avoid, and most people don't like what they see when forced to be honest with themselves. So instead of looking inward, they project outward. They call you intense. They say you've changed. They claim you're unapproachable. But what they really mean is, you make me uncomfortable because I can't hide around you anymore. And you know what? That's not your problem to fix. You didn't sign up to make everyone comfortable. You signed up to live in alignment. And alignment exposes misalignment. Truth reveals lies. Clarity highlights confusion. That's not a flaw in your design. That's the feature. You're not here to coddle people through their illusions. When you're here to exist so powerfully in your truth that it gives others permission to do the same, or it forces them to retreat back into the shadows where they're more comfortable. Either way, you're not responsible for their choice. Number 4, you stopped bleeding energy, and now parasites can't feed. Let's talk about something most people don't want to admit. There are people in this world who survive by feeding off the energy of others. They're not always malicious. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. But they've learned to position themselves near people who leak energy. People who over-explain, over-apologize, over-give, over-accommodate. And you used to be one of those people. You used to leave interactions feeling drained, confused about why a 10-minute conversation left you exhausted for 3 days. But something changed. You sealed the leaks. You stopped explaining yourself to people who weren't listening anyway. You stopped apologizing for boundaries that were necessary. You stopped giving pieces of yourself to people who never intended to give anything back. And now you're walking around as an energetically closed system. You're no longer a fountain people can drink from without permission. You're a well with a gate, and the people who were used to free access are losing their minds because the supply just got cut off. Psychics and empaths feel this immediately because many of them, not all, but many, operate in extraction mode without realizing it. They're so used to pulling information, emotions, and energy from others that when they encounter someone who's not leaking, they don't know what to do. They feel blocked. They feel confused. They might even feel offended, like you're withholding something from them. But you're not withholding. You're just contained. And containment looks like rejection to people who are used to overflow. This is why your presence triggers them, because you're not available for extraction anymore. You're not broadcasting your vulnerabilities. You're not performing your struggles. You're not giving anyone material to analyze, dissect, or fix. You're just present. And that kind of self-sufficient presence is rare, it's powerful, and it's deeply threatening to anyone whose sense of value comes from being needed, being the healer, being the one who sees people. When you don't need to be seen in that way, their entire framework collapses. And instead of examining their own need for significance, they label you as the problem. I'd let this be your confirmation. You're not cold. You're not closed off. You're not unavailable. You're discerning. You're boundaried. You're intentional about where your energy goes. And that's not something to apologize for. That's something to protect fiercely. Because the moment you start lacking again to make others comfortable, you'll feel the drain return, and you've worked too hard to get to this place of wholeness, to give it away for the sake of being palatable. Number 5, your silence became louder than anyone's noise. You stopped arguing. You stopped defending. You stopped explaining your choices to people who were never going to understand them anyway. And that silence, that deliberate, conscious, powerful silence, is louder than anything you could have said. People are used to reaction. They're used to getting a rise out of you. They're used to triggering you into defense mode so they can feel significant, so they can prove they still have access, so they can confirm they still matter in your world. But you stopped giving them that. You stopped feeding the drama. You stopped participating in the circus. And now, your silence sits in rooms like a presence of its own. It's not avoidance. It's not weakness. It's mastery. Because silence, when chosen intentionally, is the loudest statement you can make. It says, I'm no longer available for this frequency. I've moved beyond the need to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding me. I'm operating from a place you can't touch with your noise. Psychics are triggered by this because silence is a void, and voids are uncomfortable. They can't read silence, or they can't interpret it. They can't predict what someone who's mastered silence will do next. You've become unpredictable in the best possible way, not chaotic, but sovereign. You're no longer reactive, which means you're no longer controllable. And people who are used to reading patterns, manipulating outcomes, and steering conversations lose all their leverage when they encounter someone who simply won't engage on their terms. This silence of yours isn't passive, it's active. It's a force field. It's a boundary that doesn't need to be explained because it's felt. And the ones who are energetically attuned are feeling it hard. They're feeling the weight of your absence in spaces you used to fill with your presence. They're noticing how the dynamic shifted the moment you stopped showing up in the ways they expected. And instead of respecting that, instead of honoring that, they're scrambling to make sense of it, to fill the void, to pull you back into the noise. But you're not coming back. And they know it. And that knowing is driving them insane. Number 6. You started moving like you already won, and it's confusing people who are still fighting. There's something about your energy lately that's different. You're not in survival mode anymore. You're not in defense mode. You're not even in proving mode. You're just moving forward intentionally with a quiet confidence that doesn't need validation. You're walking like someone who already knows the outcome. And that energy, that unshakable certainty, is disorienting to people who are still wrestling with doubt, still clawing for approval, still trying to prove they belong. 'Cause psychics pick up on this frequency immediately because it's rare. Most people move through life reactively, responding to circumstances, adjusting to environments, shape-shifting to fit in. But you're not doing that anymore. You're not adjusting. You're setting the standard. You're not responding to the environment. The environment is responding to you. And that shift in energetic positioning is so fundamental, so powerful, that it creates a ripple effect every sensitive person can feel. You're not bragging. You're not loud about it. You're just certain. And certainty is magnetic and terrifying at the same time. It pulls people in who want to understand it, and it repels people who feel threatened by it. The ones who are still stuck in scarcity, still competing for scraps, now still operating from fear. They can't handle your energy because it highlights everything they're not doing. You're proof that another way exists. And that proof is uncomfortable for people who've built their entire identity on struggle. This is why you're triggering psychics and empaths so hard right now. Because your energy isn't asking questions anymore. It's making statements. And those statements are absolute. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm worth. And I'm not negotiating any of that with anyone. That level of self-knowledge, that depth of internal alignment, creates an energetic signature that's undeniable. People feel it before you speak. They sense it when you walk past. And they're either drawn to it because they want what you have. Or they're repelled by it because it reminds them of what they've refused to become. Number 7, you're no longer absorbing energy, you're transmuting it. Here's what's really happening at a core level. You've stopped being a sponge. You used to walk into rooms and soak up everyone's emotions, everyone's stress, everyone's chaos. You'd leave feeling heavy, confused, drained, like you'd been carrying weights that weren't yours. But something in you recalibrated. You learned to transmute instead of absorb. You learned to witness without taking ownership. You learned to feel without becoming. This is an advanced energetic skill that most people never develop, and the ones who are sensitive can feel that you've mastered it. When they send energy your way, whether it's judgment, jealousy, curiosity, or even admiration, it doesn't stick to you the way it used to. It moves through you, gets filtered, and comes back out transformed. You're not a sponge anymore. You're a prism, and that shift in function is what's triggering every psychic in a 50-mile radius because they've never encountered someone who operates this way. They're used to people who absorb, who hold, who carry. They're used to people who take on the emotional labor of entire rooms without realizing it. But you're not doing that anymore. You're present without being porous. You're compassionate without being consumed. You're aware without being overwhelmed. And that balance, that mastery, is so unusual, so refined, that it registers as a completely different frequency. You're not just sensitive anymore. You're sovereign. And sovereignty in an empath is one of the rarest, most powerful energetic signatures that exists. Psychics don't know how to categorize you because you don't fit their models. You're not a victim. You're not a savior. You're not wounded. You're not inflated. You're just present, clear, and unmovable. And that presence is so stabilizing, so grounding, that it exposes how unstable everyone else is. People around you start feeling their own imbalance more acutely because your energy isn't matching their chaos. You're not meeting them in the dysfunction. You're standing in alignment and inviting them to rise, or revealing that they're choosing not to. Number 8, your presence is forcing people to choose, evolve or exit. This is the part most people don't want to talk about. Your energy right now is creating a fork in the road for everyone around you. They can't stay neutral anymore. They can't stay comfortable. They have to choose. Either rise to meet you where you are, or step back because the gap is too wide. And most people are stepping back, not because you're pushing them away, but because they're not ready to do the internal work required to operate at your frequency. Psychics feel this pressure intensely because they're used to being the ones who create the energetic standard in a room. They're used to being the most aware person, the one everyone turns to for insight. But when you show up, that dynamic flips. Suddenly they're not the energetic authority anymore. Suddenly there's someone in the room whose presence is so clear, so aligned, so potent, that it makes everyone else's spiritual posturing look shallow. And instead of rising to that challenge, instead of being inspired by it, many of them retreat. They ghost you. They avoid you. They talk about you behind your back as if you're the problem. But the real issue is they're being confronted with their own stagnation, and that's not a comfortable mirror to look into. This isn't just happening with psychics. This is happening across your entire life. Friends who used to feel close now feel distant. Family members who used to have access now feel shut out. Co-workers who used to vibe with you now seem awkward. And it's not because you've become difficult. It's because you've become undeniable. You've become a standard. And standards expose gaps. They highlight where people are pretending versus where they're being real. And most people would rather exit than be exposed. Let this land. You are not responsible for making your evolution comfortable for others. And you are not required to shrink so people can feel big. You are not obligated to slow down so others can keep up. Your presence is an invitation, not an imposition. And if people choose to walk away because they can't handle what you're becoming, that's not rejection. That's clarity. They're showing you they were never meant for this chapter. And you need to honor that, because trying to keep people around who are energetically mismatched will drain the very power that makes you who you are. Number 9. You've become the calm in the center of every storm, and chaos can't touch you. There's a stillness in you now that wasn't there before. Not the stillness of suppression or numbness, the stillness of mastery. You can be in the middle of absolute chaos, surrounded by panic, drama, noise, and you remain unmoved. Not because you don't care, but because you've learned to center yourself so deeply that external turbulence can't shake your internal foundation. And that stillness, that unshakable presence, is what's setting off alarms in every sensitive person around you. Psychics are trained to read movement, fluctuation, energy shifts. But when they try to read you, they hit a wall of calm so solid it feels like they're scanning a mountain. There's nothing to latch on to, no anxiety to exploit, no insecurity to poke, no wound to trigger. You're just there, present, grounded, whole. And that level of internal stability is so foreign to most people that it reads as threatening. Because if you can be that calm in chaos, it means their chaos has no power over you. And people who use chaos as a control mechanism lose all their leverage when they realize you're immune. This is why your presence is so triggering right now, because you're proof that peace is possible. You're proof that you don't have to react to every provocation. You're proof that stillness is stronger than noise. And for people who've built their entire identity on being reactive, on being emotional, on being real through drama, your calm is an indictment. It's a mirror showing them they have a choice they've been refusing to make. And instead of making that choice, they label you as cold, disconnected, or spiritually bypassing. But you're not bypassing anything. You've processed, you've integrated, and now you're operating from a place they haven't reached yet. Number 10, you're not trying to be understood anymore. You're just being. And that's the most powerful position you've ever occupied. This is it. This is the core of why your presence is triggering every psychic, every empath, every energetically sensitive person in a 50-mile radius. You stopped performing. You stopped explaining. You stopped trying to make people get it. You just exist now, fully, unapologetically, without needing anyone's permission, validation, or understanding. And that complete self-possession is the rarest, most powerful energy that exists. You're not seeking approval. You're not chasing belonging. You're not trying to prove you're worthy. You just are. And that amness, that pure presence, is what's shaking every cage, triggering every censor, and exposing every pretender. Because most people spend their entire lives trying to be seen, trying to be understood, trying to matter. But you've transcended that need. That you've moved into a space where your existence is enough. And when someone reaches that level of internal freedom, their energy becomes a force of nature that can't be controlled, manipulated, or ignored. Psychics can't read you because there's nothing to read. You're not projecting. You're not performing. You're not leaking. You're just present. And presence is the one thing that can't be faked, analyzed, or replicated. It can only be felt. And every sensitive person within range is feeling it, whether they want to or not. Some are drawn to it, like moths to flame. Others are running from it, like it's the sun itself. But none of them can ignore it, because your energy isn't asking for anything. It's just existing at a frequency so clear, so aligned, so whole, that it disrupts every false frequency around it. So here's your confirmation. You're not too much. You're not too intense. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just operating at a level most people will never reach, because they're too afraid to let go of the need to be understood. But you let go. And in letting go, you became free. And that freedom is what's triggering everyone. Because freedom can't be controlled, and you, chosen one, are finally, fully, undeniably free. If this hit different, don't just watch and disappear. Hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started, unpacking what it means to operate at this frequency. Drop 111 in the comments if your energy has been absolutely uncontrollable lately, and you finally understand why. And share this with someone who needs to know they're not crazy. They're just finally awake. Now let's keep moving. The next level is calling, and you're already halfway there.